Good evening, everyone. My name's Deputy Anthony Sambrano. I'm a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Thank you for joining me this evening. This is pre-recorded, so if you're watching the recording, thank you for tuning in. Tonight's presentation is titled Teens and Technology, what parents need to know to keep their families safe. Now, this really encompasses a lot of information from social media to phones to bad habits to monitoring. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things as far as how to keep your children safe when it comes to online technology. A little bit about me. I've been a deputy for a little over 9 years now. I've obviously worked custody, patrol, specifically in the city of Laguna Hills. I was very fortunate enough to become the school resource officer at Laguna Hills High School and our neighboring campuses within the city. And I'm currently assigned to our school mobile assessment and resource team. And in a nutshell, what that team handles is threat assessments. Anytime that any of our schools within our jurisdiction get any type of threat, whether it be a verbal threat, a digital threat, telephonic threat, or any type of weapon found on campus, we go ahead and investigate that to make sure our schools are safe. So that's a little bit or enough about me. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about, by the end of this presentation, usually everyone wants to throw away their technology. They want to be done with it, and that's not what the purpose of this presentation is for. It's actually something to teach you as far as technology is a good thing, okay? And kind of dating myself here, but I didn't grow up like this. I didn't grow up with technology as a small child or even into my my younger years as far as being a kid. It wasn't until I was a teenager to where I really got involved with technology. But conversely, now kids grow up with technology. Okay, they trust it because this is something that's handed to them at a very young age, whether it's they're learning something, whether they're watching a video from a tablet, cell phone, whatever it might be, they're growing up with it. It's in the school now, okay? It's not just a simple, when I was going to school and learning how to type, trying to type as fast as I can, they're actually doing exercises using technology within the classrooms to better themselves, okay? And naturally, that continues on through middle school and high school, okay, to better educate them. Sometimes it can be a distraction, and we'll talk about why those distractions do come up. Every time I remember being an SRO being called at least once a day from a teacher saying this student won't put their phone away because they're looking at social media or one aspect of it. And we'll talk about that screen time addiction and why it's so easy for kids to for them to go ahead and pull out that cell phone and look through it. This is something that's probably very recent for us, the ability to learn from home using a Zoom application like we're using today. This is something that, if I was going to school 20 years ago, we wouldn't have had that opportunity, where nowadays we're still able to learn through Zoom. So these are good things as far as technology has definitely helped us in our life, but we definitely need to be very careful with how much technology we do use, okay? I bring this slide up because technology gives us the infinite opportunities and possibilities to, to grow in life. I was recently looking at a study as far as what kids want to be when they grow up. You'd be very surprised that 40% of our kids nowadays are saying that they want to be a social media influencer, okay? We'll talk about kind of what an influencer does later in the presentation, but essentially what it is just someone that's popular on social media that gets sponsored by many different businesses and has the ability to make thousands, if not millions of dollars, just depending on what they post on social media. It was surprising to see some of the more traditional professions like doctors, firemen, veterinarians were closer into the, within 7%, 9%, less than 15%. That's something that was very interesting and very surprising to me, that influencer is now the top job opportunity that our kids want to be. So for tonight's presentation, we're going to talk about a few different things. This presentation is directed towards parents. Okay, this presentation is not necessarily specific for kids. So parents, if you are having your kids follow you along with this presentation, I suggest you ask them to go ahead and work on their homework, go on their social media, check it later though. But this is definitely a parent presentation. We're going to talk about the teen brain. Okay, we're going to talk about monitoring strategies for you as parents. We'll dive into social media and the problem applications. We'll obviously talk about specific drugs on social media and how readily accessible they are to our kids and pretty much anyone that's using social media. We'll talk about how it's also consistent with predators to use social media as well. We'll dive into teen drama and how to address those teen drama. We'll talk about a few case studies, and we'll provide some resources for you guys going forward. Let's get into the teen brain. Okay, the first thing I want you guys to understand is the brain is still developing. Okay, the part that is developing is the prefrontal cortex. That is our front part of the brain, and it's the part of the brain that's in charge of our decision making. So anytime that we ask ourselves, why did my kid do that? I can't believe my kid would do that. This is why, okay? To get a better understanding of it, teens actually don't start, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until, well, for girls, right around that 25-year-old mark. And for boys, some studies are now showing that it's into their late 20s, early 30s that it's fully developed. So that's where that impulsive brain activity comes from, that emotional versus logical abilities come from. So understand when your kids do make mistakes, and they will, this is where it's coming from, okay? The problem with that is when you mix social media and technology within this, that's where you start having issues, and that's where you can see a lot of problems arising. A recent study was done in 2018 by Stanford University about screen time addiction. Okay, they brought forward some pretty noteworthy stats. One question I always get from parents is, what's the best age to give my child a phone? Well, that really depends on your child. It's not a general answer that I like giving. It depends how mature your child necessarily is. But within this study, it showed that 10 years old was the number that kids start getting their first cell phone. Now, they're found an average that kids are mostly spending 4.5 hours on it, okay, and that's excluding texting and talking. 78% of teens check their phone at least hourly. Just being within the classroom and being a former school resource officer, I can probably say that that's probably gone up as far, and probably even for adults too. And this is where it starts getting really murky as far as what we're seeing with screen time addiction. Teens who spend 5 or more hours on screen time are 71% more likely to have some type of mental health issue. And just take a pause and think about that. Think about the key reasons why social media and all the access that you get from a smartphone could cause that. Okay, and we're talking about mental illnesses such as ADHD, anxiety, stress, depression, and even suicidal thoughts. Okay, once we start talking about social media and everything that it encompasses, you'll learn why it's gone up to that high 71%. Okay. Through the study, it showed that teens should not spend more than 2 hours a day recreationally on screen time. So that's talking about games, obviously social media applications. Okay, we want them doing other things besides that. As far as monitoring the technology, we need to act the best in this. Okay, our children are literally looking for someone to look up to. Okay, and we need to present that image for them. We need to be the alphas, and we need to lead by example. And I think the hardest thing for us as parents, especially with us having phones, and I've got 2 of them, lucky me. The hardest part about this is leading by example. Okay, if you're gonna give them a rule when it comes down to something like this, you're going to have to follow that rule too. Okay. Some of these little things that I've put in the presentation are helpful things to show that, hey, I'm on the same page with you. I'm on the same page as my kids. No technology during certain times of the day. The best time of day for that is dinner time. When you're all eating dinner at the same time, put those phones away. If you have to put them in a little basket or something like that and put them somewhere where you can't have access to them, do that. Technology-free weekends, whether it's having a certain time of day or a certain amount of hours that you put the phones away and just spend time as a family. We kind of already talked about, is my child mature enough for a smartphone? If they're not mature enough, but you still want them to have some type of phone because you're worried about where they're at or being in communication with them, get them a flip phone. In fact, I strongly recommend having a flip phone, because when you do impose a consequence and you take that phone away, most parents don't want to take that phone away for a long period of time because they're concerned about, well, where's my child going to be? How am I going to communicate with them? Give them a flip phone to subside that, so that you can still keep an eye on them, still have access to them, but obviously they can't use the smartphone. Knowing all passwords is a must, and checking the phone regularly is essential when it comes to this type of thing. If you're not checking that phone regularly, you're going to run into problems. And that's when, once you give a child a phone at a very young age and you don't give them any specific rules, and then you start trying to give them rules at 16 after they do make a mistake, you're going to start having issues, and you're going to get a lot of kickback from that child, because naturally they're not used to that. Of course, try and keep technology out of the bedrooms and at night, especially for the young ones and middle schoolers. You want to keep it out of their bedroom at night. Just to continue on with active supervision, teens are less likely to do something if you're already monitoring it. Okay, if you already start this, they are less likely to go into that deep end and start looking for those unknown trouble stuff. Whether it might be trying to seek friendship with an unknown person on social media that they don't know, looking for drugs, whatever that might be. Within your checks, make sure they're random. Don't make it, I'm going to check your phone every Tuesday. Guess what they're going to be doing Monday night? Deleting everything that they don't want you to see. So make it random. Don't make it a schedule type of thing, and do it periodically. Maybe that means 2 weeks or so without checking it, and then check it, when they least suspect it. Okay. Have that discussion with them. Don't make it a lecture. Don't make it like my presentation here tonight. You want to have that discussion with them about, the types of things that you learned tonight, and see what they have to say. Because in some cases, some of them may already know about it or may have their own personal stories. You never know in which case, your child may actually be a victim at that very moment when discussing them. And that has happened during these presentations, where we try and get parents to talk to their kids about it. And then the next thing you know, their child is telling them that they are a victim of a crime in regards to social media and meeting someone that they shouldn't have met. Just a few oversharing tips that we've seen with kids that have social media and don't have any regulations. They're posting way too much information, TMI, whether it be too much information about their personal life, about what's going on. It gets to the point where other people find that information out and they know everything about them, and it just leads to possible cyberbullying. Relationships. Of course, we all have our certain age demographics that we want our kids dating, but when it comes to dating, keep it off social media. No one wants to see all the kissing, all the hugging type of thing, or post about how much they love their significant other that much. Keep it tight when it comes to the relationships. No one wants a bragger, right? The braggers tend to be the ones that usually get cyberbullied again later on. Knowing your followers, knowing your friends. It is naturally obvious that kids want to have as many followers or friends as they can, right? They want to have more followers than what they're actually following, or more friends that they actually know more than their friend or anything like that. You don't want them knowing just some random person just so that they can get their numbers up. You want them to be their close friends. And even within their close friends, you need to be careful for the people that just like seeing the drama, that like getting it going by sharing a picture that maybe someone else can't see. But, oh, did you see what Anthony posted? Check out what Anthony just posted, and it's all related to just oversharing. Pictures. Sometimes we take inappropriate pictures of ourselves, and that can obviously lead to cyberbullying. It can lead to a lot of things, whether it be within the home as well as the school place. And the other thing about pictures is we live in a day and age where pictures can be altered, right? You may take a regular picture with your family, but there's people out there that'll take a snapshot of that picture and alter it and change it up on you to the point of, once again, more cyberbullying. Privacy settings, if you're a parent that's just giving this information out to your kids, ensure that the first thing you go to is privacy settings and make sure that you have all the privacy settings up as far as who can view their profile, friends only. You want to make sure that not anyone can just view their profile at any time. And this is the one I think that gets away from us, the golden rule, being nice. Social media was not created to show off drugs, to make threats to each other, to create hostility amongst us. Social media was created to empower us, to be nice with each other, to inquire about things that we're interested in, in regards to our hobbies and all that. This is one thing, if you can teach your kids how to be nice, how to be respectful on social media, that goes a long way. And it goes a long way with their personal mental health as well, too. If they understand that, hey, I'm not going on social media to, go ahead and start talking smack on people. I'm going on social media to be a good friend and a good family member to my friends and family. That goes a long way. Well, let's go ahead and transition now and get straight into social media, okay? We're going to talk about these common problem apps. Instagram, as old as Instagram is, it still tends to be the most popular. And the reason for that tends to be because that's the one that most adults have. Most adults have an Instagram, therefore they're more comfortable using Instagram and checking Instagram when it comes to their kids. Snapchat follows a close second. Facebook's kind of diminishing as we go forward. YouTube can be the best thing ever. It can also be the worst thing ever. YouTube, you can learn how to do anything. For us adults, we can learn all about plumbing. We can learn all about stucco and how to do home improvements. But on the other end of the spectrum, kids can go ahead and learn and how to create drugs. Okay, they can learn how to make pipe bombs. They can learn how to do a lot of dangerous things within YouTube. So as beneficial as it might be for learning about something that should be learned about, you can also learn a lot of bad things from YouTube. WhatsApp is strictly a messaging system. It's a messaging system, that in my opinion is not needed. And there's several others like WhatsApp. You've got WhatsApp, you've got Kik, you've got Facebook Messenger, and all these messaging apps are used for, in my experience, has been for inappropriate conversations. Okay, I like to tell parents, listen, you already gave your kid a phone, okay? Whether it's an iPhone, whether it's an Android and iPhones already come with a standard messaging app, which is usually the iMessage. For the Android, it's just the regular message. That's where the messages should be coming from. They shouldn't be coming from a third-party application like WhatsApp or Kik Messenger. If you do discover these, get rid of them. They're not needed. TikTok. TikTok tends to be the problem associated, the follow the leader kind of social media application where challenges arise and kids do these horrible stunt challenges that they shouldn't be doing. There's also a lot of inappropriate videos that come along with it. So we'll dive into TikTok a little bit later. And lastly, I wanted to put a video game application that's starting to create recent issues. Discord. Discord was originally created for video gamers, where they would be playing a video game and also be chatting with other video gamers using this Discord application. Well, now Discord is actually trying to become more of a monopoly, very similar to Instagram and WhatsApp, and they're trying to now move forward into all messaging services. But the problem with Discord we found was that it's very, very easy to hack. You can hack someone through Discord, gain all their personal information, and then start creating a ruckus when it comes to rivalries within video gaming. Because I know we get very competitive when it comes to sports. Video games are no different, and we can become very, very competitive amongst video games that can create issues like swatting calls and getting kids in trouble through video games. So let's talk a little bit about Instagram. If you don't know much about Instagram, Instagram is pretty much a video/picture messaging app. Okay, it's a little bit different from Facebook. Facebook tends to be, well, obviously can do video and picture, but you can also do posts. Each post within Instagram is going to be either a picture or video. Okay, so naturally I want to just tell you guys where we see most of the issues are from the stories. You've got a few different things that you can do when you have an Instagram account. Obviously, you're posting pictures or videos, but you can post them either on your profile, which stays with your profile until you choose to delete it, okay? Or there's stories, and these stories can be ultimately deleted within 24, or they'll ultimately delete themselves within 24 hours, depending on the picture that you choose. If you're new to Instagram and you can see my arrow, when you upload a story and share it with others, it's gonna show up here. Okay, and just like, depending how many friends you have, you can go ahead and view other people's stories by clicking on any of these on their icons to go ahead and view it. Right here is kind of the base. When you open up Instagram, you're going to see just these pictures, and you just scroll down and see what all your friends have posted. Instagram does have a direct messaging system. What that means is you can have a messaging conversation with one person. You can have pretty much a chat room conversation with up to multiple people within this. That's sometimes where we see a lot of inappropriate conversations happening. When I'm investigating something, whether when I was an SRO or now as a member of the School Mobile Assessment and Resource Team, my favorite things to go through was the messaging icons, and you'll find that right here. So if you want to ever go through your child's messaging icons, just click on that right there. But the other thing I always liked going through was this search button. Okay, this search button is pretty much when you'd want to search for friends, when you'd want to search for a common interest. And that's really where Instagram really has its foundational aspect, I think, where it brings people in. Whatever your interest might be, whether it's a certain type of sports, a sports team. For my wife, it's looking at crown molding and ceilings and ceiling fans and everything that you can think of when it comes to houses. For kids, it tends to be a little bit more different as far as what their interests are, but that's all available within Instagram. And Instagram's very smart. It's a very smart application that understands algorithms, and depending on what you search for, you're going to start seeing more and more posts when you see that. This picture that I brought up right now is pretty much the back end of viewing someone else's profile. So when you view someone else's profile, this is Jeff Mindell, who I found on Google. He's got an open profile, and you're going to see obviously all of his personal information, and you can just scroll down and see all the pictures that he's obviously put on his account. Okay, but like I was saying about that search icon right here, if you click on it, naturally you can go ahead and go up here and type in what you want to search, but it's already going to have formulated for you an algorithm check to show your common interests. So naturally, when I'm conducting my investigations, I'm looking at what type of material is naturally popping up on the child's social media account. And sometimes you go on this and you see nothing but marijuana references, drug culture, or whatever it might be that's a little bit like, whoa, I should be looking at this way more. I didn't know you were into this. The other thing too is you can go to the search icon up here, click on it, and see what their recent history was. The other thing to watch out for, though, is they can delete it at any time. So like I said, you want to make sure when you check all these things on whatever the social media application is, you make it sporadic. You want to make it so they don't know when it's going to happen. The common problems that we see amongst teens with Instagram tend to be drug sales. There's a lot of drug sales going on, some legally, some illegally. Sexting, mainly through direct messaging, and threats. And once again, that tends to come from stories. Unfortunately, we live in a culture now where these threats, don't go to school tomorrow kind of comes into play, or someone posting a picture with a weapon or something like that. And that's scary stuff. And that's the kind of stuff, obviously, that I investigate. And that's kind of how I've become very affluent with this social media application. So that's another thing that needs to get reported right away. In regards to drugs, though, when Instagram first started, it was not being regulated. Okay, so social media, a lot of these were not being regulated, and I didn't touch on hashtags. You can pretty much do hashtag anything you want. Okay, you can do for example, when it comes to drugs. Before, you could do hashtag Xanax, and it would bring you every single picture related to Xanax. And in most cases, people were selling Xanax, and you could contact them by the direct message on Instagram. They had profiles to the Text Now applications as far as getting in contact with them. But since then, Instagram and Facebook have kind of put a kibosh on that kind of thing. But people tend to be very, very creative when it comes to this type of thing. So they've gone to the next best thing. They're doing phrases like Xanax Land or hashtag Xanax Land. They'll go ahead and put a period within, somewhere within the word. And don't think it's just Xanax. It could be anything. It could be hashtag, marijuana, 420. I put up a few emojis to kind of show that there's a specific coding when it comes to, the drug culture within social media. Obviously, pills, right? We already know that. This nice fall leaf does not mean a fall leaf. It can mean drugs in general, drugs for sale. It can obviously mean marijuana as well too. And of course, your emoji in regards to cash. Okay, so that is all within social media, not just Instagram, but Snapchat and other forms of social media. You're going to see these types of things pop up. And if you bring up your child's Instagram account, you go to their direct messaging, you go to their search button, and you see that they've got something like this, that's giving you a big clue as far as what they're into. It's just something it's there now. There's so many tobacco and vape shops that have their online stores within Snapchat and Instagram, where you can literally go right now, put in a smoke shop, go on their account, buy something, get it delivered, whether it's to your house, a Amazon box at 7-Eleven, or somewhere else where they know that they can get it without you knowing. It's all accessible. And literally, the only thing, when it comes to the legal purchases at least, the only thing that separates them from getting it is literally checking a box saying, I'm 21 years old, or giving a birthday that indicates that they're 21 years or over. When it comes to some of the more harder stuff, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, that stuff needs to be reported to the school, if we can identify who those people are, or in which case it can be reported to law enforcement as well too. But we'll talk specifically about what we need as far as law enforcement to conduct a proper investigation a little bit later. Snapchat tends to be very, very similar to Instagram. It's pretty much pictures and videos once again. The thing about Snapchat though is the time delay as far as having them, being up for 5 minutes to 30 seconds to 24 hours. The user really controls that, okay? It even allows the user to allow which friends and followers can view Snapchat. But like I said, Snapchat is very, very similar to Instagram, but the only exception is Snapchat probably has a lot more features to go ahead and edit yourself within your pictures. Instagram's got plenty, but Snapchat has probably more. The scary thing about Snapchat is a location finder. For those accounts that are not private and are public, literally, if you put a Snapchat out and you're, in Santa Ana, California, if someone's on SnapMap, they can go ahead and view that. And what SnapMap is what you're seeing right now on the screen. It's everywhere in the world where someone's uploading a picture or video of whatever they're wanting to upload. You could literally go on right now, Google SnapMap, click on the icon and see what people are posting all over this world right now, what's going on. It's a scary, scary thing, especially when you've got a 14-year-old in their bedroom posting inappropriate pictures. That person's going to know exactly where they're from, and it just gives more information about themselves, to predators and these unknown users. In most cases, Snapchat, your account profile is going to be this. It's going to be some type of emoji cartoon picture. It's not even going to be a picture, a picture like this one for reference. This one right here is not very common. You don't see many pictures with someone's face, more or less. It's usually going to be a cartoonish picture, but who's to say that this person that's posing as this version of themselves actually might be this gentleman right here. So, Snapchat is another one of those dangerous ones that, a lot of sexting issues, drugs obviously follow the same thing within it, as far as gaining access to that type of stuff. TikTok is another short form video sharing application. A lot of what comes from TikTok is singing challenges, lip syncing challenges, dancing challenges, or sometimes stupidity challenges, as I like to call them. These pictures obviously show you kind of what type of dance challenges these people are doing. This girl decided it was a great idea to go ahead and post a video of herself on shrooms, which is another common thing. You'll often see people posting videos of themselves under the influence of whatever type of narcotic that they're ingesting. Privacy is another big factor within TikTok, where privacy is not really there. The biggest issues tend to be the language and the nudity. Same thing, hashtags are a part of this, and also teaching. There was recently a TikTok video of a teenager teaching other teenagers how to ingest drugs. Okay, these are more of these stupidity videos that I was telling you about. The one on your left is the skull breaker challenge. What these boys are doing right now is pretty much kicking the middle boy's legs out from under him, which is going to cause him to fall in the back of his head and obviously cause injury. This one's the milk or cereal and milk challenge. That's essentially what TikTok is. Its biggest thing is creating some type of challenge, some type of popular challenge, but on the back end of things, which we usually don't see amongst popular culture, is the stupidity videos, the videos showing nudity and inappropriate content, that others can view. We kind of already spoke about YouTube and the plethora of information that you can learn within YouTube, and it goes both ways. You can learn a lot of great things on YouTube. And parents, I'll tell you this right now, if you are more interested in any of these applications that I'm talking about, YouTube's going to be your best friend. They will go into detail about each application, how it's used, what to watch out for, all the secrets. It's a great information to get, but on the reverse side of things, kids that access YouTube can also view highly, highly inappropriate material when it comes to ingesting drugs, creating weapons, creating ideations, or ideations that shouldn't be out there for kids to view. So naturally, when it comes to YouTube, depending on how old your child is, I do suggest YouTube Kids app. That's obviously a kids version application. There's also shared access, which tends to be my favorite, especially when you have someone in middle school and high school. So you can pretty much see everything that they are watching. Okay, so it gives them a little bit of trust to be able to have a little bit more access to YouTube. But on the flip side of things, you're able to view everything that they are. Restricted mode tends to be very, very restricted. So that would probably be another good idea for your very small children. But also be very cautious with YouTube because it can create screen time addiction. If you've been on YouTube before, you know after one video finishes, another one starts playing. And you want to be careful that your child doesn't get a little bit too far into it to the point where they're watching video after video after video to the point where, hey, that's their life, just screen time. Like I said, drugs on social media is a problem. In regards to vapes and other tobacco-related products, it is there. It is there. Most of these smoke shops tend to believe that, they don't tend to believe, they know that their strongest marketing tool is social media. And when it comes to kids now more or less having credit cards readily available, they can go ahead and order these things. And it's very easy for kids to order these items and get them shipped to somewhere else where they don't get shipped at home. They get shipped to either a friend's house where their friends don't monitor them, or they get them shipped to an Amazon box where, where their parents won't find out. And like I said, it's simply just by checking a box saying that I'm 21 years of age or older. We had a case about a year ago in South County where we had a student who literally was buying in bulk. He was buying vapes in bulk and selling them out to other kids at the middle schools, for $15 a piece. So he was contributing to this. He was being a total dealer. And when we asked him, hey, how did this come about? Oh, simple. I just buy them in bulk, whether it's through this certain smoke shop or even Amazon. As crazy as it is, you could go on Amazon right now and buy a 30-pack of Juuls, the throwaway, Juul or Phoenix. You could buy a 30-pack of those and then sell them for however much you want, kind of thing. So scary, scary stuff, especially when you start going into the heavier drugs, whether it might be Xanax, any type of opioid, oxycodone, MDMA, shrooms, that all is there. And like I said, Instagram's trying to get better when it comes to this type of stuff, but they've already come out and publicly said, listen, we can't track everyone. We can't track everyone. And I told you I was going to talk about this from a law enforcement perspective. When it comes from a law enforcement perspective, if you say, hey, deputy, I was perusing through Instagram and I found all of these drug dealers. That's great information to have. But when it comes to probable cause, let's say we don't know who this person is and they're not providing any identifiable information about themselves, we're going to need a warrant. We're going to need a warrant to figure out who's behind that username. what IP address is that coming from, which is connected to this house. We're going to need to write a warrant to get that type of information. The probable cause that we're going to need to get is a little bit more than just a profile that has these pictures. We're going to need, conversations that this person may be having with the student, as far as a possible deal. Now, what I'm telling you right now is don't go and try and be 21 Jump Street right now and start, getting all these deals with all these dealers or anything like that. Let us take care of that. Okay, I don't want you telling your kids or trying to go into it and trying to get these, these drug buys. Don't worry about that. Let us handle it. But with the right information and the right information to create probable cause to get a search warrant and get some of these people that are selling these heavy drugs in our communities, we can definitely use that information. If you're fortunate enough to have a school resource officer at the schools, you want to contact them about it, as well as the school administration, because school administration tends to know exactly who's who. Maybe, they messed up and, there's a little tattoo or there's a little clothing item that they know one specific student wears. But this is out there. It's very, very unfortunate that, social media is used in these ways, but it tends to follow kind of the times that we're in right now. And just the same way that drug dealers are using social media, predators are using it as well. Okay. I come from a day and age where my parents always told me when I was walking to school or walking home from school, you don't talk to strangers. Okay. And in that day and age, I thought of it, well, you're in the open world. You've got everything in front of you. Okay. Try and relate that with cell phones and technology. Those tablets, those cell phones, those computers, they essentially encompass the same thing. You have everything in front of you. You have the ability to buy anything, to view anything that you want. If we're going to tell our kids don't talk to strangers, just like this second picture that just followed up, why shouldn't we be giving them that same message? Because at the end of the day, as sad as this picture is and as scary as this picture is of this person posing as this girl, that's something that's very, very common and happens more often than not. I want to share with you a case study that came out of me working as a school resource officer. Okay, like I said, I give this presentation a lot, and on this occasion, a parent contacted me that evening advising of a situation that she encountered when she went home and told her kids about what she had learned from my presentation. And essentially it followed the same rubric that we've been seeing very often. An adult suspect posing as a teen on multiple different social media applications became engaged with one of our teens, and naturally a friendship occurred. And it's as easy as just pointing out, what's in their background of their pictures. Oh, this person likes this sports team. This person likes this band. This person likes, everything. It's very easy based on our pictures to tell what type of people we are and what our common interests were. The other susceptible teens that tend to strike friendships with unknown people are people that are kids that are having problems with their parents, and they tend to lean on these people and provide them with all the reasons why they're frustrated, why they've got anxiety, and these suspects take all that information in and be their best friend for them. But in any case, this case, they became friends. It turned romantic. And once there was trust that was built, okay, in that romantic relationship, this person asked for a photo. And naturally, the student said, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not comfortable with it. And of course, this suspect, who was posing as the opposite gender as a teenager, said, well, I'll be the first one to send you. I'll send you a nude picture of me, and then you can send me a nude picture back. So naturally, that's what they did. And they felt comfortable. Oh, well, if this person's sending me a nude photo of themselves, then I'll do the same thing. So the teen sent the picture, and naturally, the relationship continued. They still didn't meet in person, but the relationship continued as far as sending nude pictures of themselves. Naturally, the suspect continued to ask for more and more pictures, and the teen eventually got to the point where, okay, this is getting ridiculous. I don't like the way this is going, and they refused. And then this is where we usually see the common thread. The suspect then threatened to send, okay, if you're not going to send me any more pictures, I'm going to show all the pictures you've sent me to your friends, your family, your church, your school, whomever. And right then and there, I like to call the hook. They hooked that kid into sending more and more pictures and pretty much following this suspect's every request. And of course, every time that they asked for another picture, it was, this will be the last one, don't worry. Well, no, it wasn't. It wasn't the last one, and pictures turned into videos. Videos turned into more inappropriate content that I'm not going to go into because it was too much, and the teen was baited in. They were hooked to the point where they were continuing to send it, and finally the process where it finally ended, but they don't always end this way, is where it almost led to a lead up. And it just so coincidentally happened that evening when the mom was telling her kids about what she had learned from this presentation, the child later that evening told the mother, what you just described is going on with me right now. I've been suicidal for the last several months. Help me. And naturally, we got that kid immediate help from the hospital. I then took a report later on, getting all the pertinent information, and we found out that person lived in a neighboring city where they were arrested. So this is something that's very, very common. I wish I could tell you it doesn't happen very often, but it does. And these people are out there and they follow this rhetoric to a T, and the ones that they are preying on are the ones that tend to be the ones that are having issues at home. They're feeling misunderstood and they're looking to build a relationship with someone. Let's transition into cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is done through all applications. At the high school level and middle school level, we still tend to see Instagram and Snapchat and other group messaging apps tend to be the major culprit when it comes to that. And usually the problems between one person develop into a problem within all of their friends that are following it. Okay, and it's usually the followers that just keep this fire going and make things worse, which causes them to, threaten each other. Physical attacks. It carries over onto the school. It can turn into fights after school. And it just draws everyone's attention to say, "Hey, Anthony, did you hear what's his name said about you?" "No, I didn't. I thought I put that to bed though." No. He posted something. He said he's going to do this to you, and it just keeps going with these other people involved in the drama. Spectators tend to, create it, and of course, no one wants to ask for help. But the best thing you can do in those situations is report it. It's been my experience when it reports to the school as well as to the school resource officer, that's when we can find this intervention. Or start this intervention and find out what the root of the problem is. Through a proper threat assessment, we can identify, okay, how did this whole thing start? Did it start from, maybe a ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend? Did it start from, you thinking that someone dissed someone, whatever it might be, and we can put it to bed there and keep it at a very low level before it gets to a point where, there's a fight or there's a detention or something like that. Or if a parent says, I desire prosecution against that thing or against that person, that usually doesn't work, especially when it comes to something like this, where we can intervene at a very, very early process. So reporting it is the best way to handle it. Sexting follows within that same sense of cyberbullying. The act of sending sexually explicit messages, photographs, videos between two people or sometimes more. The thing that you have to understand is you never truly know if these photos are deleted. You don't know where these photos are going or what the other person may do with them. In all reality, if a person receives a nude photo, they can literally send it to another group of people, and those people can send it to other groups of people. And the next thing you know, that photo is amongst the entire community. Okay. It can haunt someone and create a lot of mental health issues. It obviously leads to cyberbullying. It can be one of the worst things someone can go to. And that's why it literally just comes down to not sending these types of pictures or videos out there. Naturally, we don't want these consequences to go very high. Okay, we don't want to create that whole school to prison pipeline. And we've learned through proper threat assessments that we want to handle these things at a small level. And in most cases, when we can, we'll handle it at a school level. We'll handle it at with the parents and the school. Only the real egregious situations that that create, a major disruption at the school, whether it be criminal threats, digital bullying, child porn, or revenge porn. Those are cases where sometimes, and in most cases, even when kids do make mistakes with stuff like that, we'll still try and get them to some type of diversion versus having them go to juvenile hall and stuff like that. I'm very happy to say that 99% of our caseload, at least, we don't go to juvenile hall. It's only the more egregious situations where there's major injuries, or just, or there's actually, there is reason to believe that there is definitely a real threat posed here. Like I was talking about video games, Discord tends to be the main app when it comes to video games. The key and biggest trend I want to tell you about video games is when you're playing video games, be respectful. Be respectful. I know we get very competitive just like we do in sports, but when it comes down to it, you're dealing with people that are very smart when it comes to the types of games that you're playing, and there are the potential or possibilities to be playing with some type of hacker. And when you're playing on a application on Discord, which doesn't have a very good cyber safety, at least within its application, you can fall victim to recent swatting calls. If you don't know what a swatting call is, it is pretty much a fabricated call to 911 dispatch that states something, for example, my dad is stabbing my mom right now, and he's saying he's going to stab me right now. That's going to trigger a Code 3 license sirens response by law enforcement, and we're going to be coming, we're going to your house, most likely ready to engage, to protect life. And it's all made up. And the main reason for that is another gamer, got disrespected or did something, and they're doing this to get back at them. We've had it where we've had kids, or we've gotten a call from 911 saying this kid has a bomb at school. And the next thing you know, we're interviewing this kid. This kid has no idea what we're talking about. And come to find out, we find out that, oh, you know what, this kid had a bad experience with this player for whatever reason. And we find out they were playing with someone in Germany that, went that extra mile to go ahead and put them on a swatting call. So when it comes to video games, the best thing I can tell you is be respectful and be very careful with the type of language and obscenities and conflicts that you get into with other video gamers. These are some great resources, I think, for you guys that I've seen from my work experience. Life 360, Web Safety, Teen Safety, Circle are all different media apps that that are cell phone apps to monitor kids. Two great public figures to look at is the Cyber Safety Cop. He's got his own website as far as some information that he provides on this type of information. And one person I want you to look at from a parent perspective, and even have your kid with you when you do watch him, is Colin Karchner. Colin Karchner is an advocate for teens. I shouldn't just say teens, for all children related to social media and how that can affect them. And his his interactions with kids is very, very powerful as far as how he's trying to help kids navigate through social media and technology. So he's another great resource. Once again, use social media at your advantage. Check him out on Instagram and YouTube because he presents a great message. And the other thing I will tell you, the other bulletproof resource that you can use is you yourself. Monitoring your child, creating expectations, creating rules, diving into their phone is probably the best thing you can do. Some of these applications, Life 360, Teen Safe, Circle, they can be a little expensive. If you're looking to save money and to see better results, use yourself. Be the prefrontal cortex that your child has not developed yet. You as a parent can be that prefrontal cortex. And lastly, in conclusion, I just want you all to know the point of this presentation is not to start taking away items from your household and not letting your kid use technology. Technology is here to stay, and it's only going to continue to advance and help us as a society. The trick at this age is monitoring it. Be fluent with it. Get used to it. Don't have that mindset that, oh, no, I can't do that. That's not for me. No. If your kids are using it, get embedded into it. Limit their screen time. Spend time and energy with them. Give them your love and affection. Like I said, that big rule, eat dinner together. Eat dinner together and set the example by being the alpha. Okay. If I'm not sure if any of your schools do have any type of reporting system, but if they do, go on their website, jot that information down as far as if they do have a reporting system, if you ever do want to report anything. If you don't, you can always use Orange County Crime Stoppers, and that information will get out to that local agency, whether it be Cypress, whether it be Anaheim, whether it be Orange County Sheriff's Department. We'll get that information and we can go ahead and assist with those investigations. Thank you guys very much for being very patient. Hopefully I didn't go too late, but it's an absolute pleasure being here with you guys tonight. Thank you.